Hello, hello, and welcome to the Squirrel Circus podcast. I'm the Rainbow Squirrel. Today I'm joined by my co-host, Ian and Andy the Moss Guardian.
Hello, hello, hello.
Ian is in my universe today. He
Yeah,
doesn't have his own name at the description. Maybe I can
I
change it to say
teleported.
like Ian and Andy.
Yeah, no, but I think by now people know who I am. I hope.
Yeah,
There we
Kind
go.
kind
Ian
of
and Andy.
thing.
There we go. Nice. And today we'll be doing a little bit of a debate, a little bit of a back and
Mhm.
forth about
Yeah.
a kind of an interesting topic. There's this uh, thing. I guess we'll be arguing if we can call it a
Let's
composition
let's
or
say
not.
thing. Let's say thing. Yeah, let's say thing, and
Let's
then
leave it at
we'll
thing.
each give it the name we think it deserves. But yeah.
Called 433 by a composer. I do feel comfortable calling him a composer, even if not.
He
Okay.
is. No, he is. He is. He has a lot
Rules
of other work,
introduction
but
first.
yeah.
Now we can like what year was it published? What context, historical context? Like let's first establish that, and then we can start arguing about what we feel comfortable naming.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
First of
So
all, yeah.
433, John Cage, we're going to be uh, debating, discussing whether or not it can be classified as music or not.
Hmm.
So please give the introduction. You know more about the piece, way more than I do.
We
Okay,
have to read.
okay.
Do we have to research?
No, no, no.
Do you
I
know
think
the
I don't know. I
year?
don't know the dates really, but I think this was his work, at least in this area of like experimental exploration.
70s?
Probably late 70s, 80s. I'm not completely sure about
Okay.
it, but
So post hippie, no?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
definitely. And well, this guy was a pupil of um, Arnold Schoenberg. I think Arnold Schoenberg is a bit more of a known name in the composers in the contemporanean composer scene, I think.
Mhm.
And John Cage is an interesting one because he he kind of try to draw the line between what can be considered music and what can't, right? And he would do like all these crazy experimental pieces where he would push the limits of what music could be, right? To the point where one example of what he did was he opened a show where nobody knew what the set list would be, and he opened it, and this in the scene he just had like a bathtub and a few buckets and a few like kitchen utensils and stuff, right? And for like 2 hours straight he was just trying to make sounds out of this stuff, and many people did not like him that much. I think the rainbow squirrel might be one of them. We'll see. We'll see by the end.
Are
By the
you
end.
a hater?
But by by the end of this episode, I think we can establish that. But one of his most famous pieces, per se, if you can call it the piece, we were calling it the thing, is called 433, 4 minutes 33, and it is exactly 4 minutes 33 of silence, right? Of pure silence. Like he would play this live and then he would go like, now we're gonna play 4 minutes 33.
Fuck. Everyone
And
know.
nobody would play anything. And at the time it's funny because before actually like publishing it, he would play it live, and it would serve as a filter, for the people who actually thought they understood what he was doing. They would stay, and the people who thought it was BS, they would just stand up and,
Mm.
and leave. But he explores. I mean, he has a whole like study, a whole text that talks about silence from his perspective. I mean, he's a very well-educated musician and composer. He has a lot more musical pieces you can look up. But the he was his main thing was he noticed that there is no such thing as silence, right? As pure silence. I mean, unless you're like completely deaf, but even then, like we wouldn't know. I think he noticed this. He writes in his book that he once went into the. I think there is a room in Harvard that is um designed to be as silent as possible. It is considered like the most silent room, and
Mm-hmm.
every sound is just like 99.999% absorbed into the walls and into and there is this whole thing where they say you can't be in this room for more than 15 minutes because you will actually start hallucinating and going insane, right? And he wanted to experiment this and we wanted to experience it and see what he could find out about it, right? And he says that he expected it to be silent, right? Because it's a dead silent room. But when he went in and spent 2 minutes in there, he started noticing that there was this very overwhelming sound coming from somewhere, right? Which couldn't be. If you scream in this room, you can barely hear yourself. But there was this like very loud, overwhelming sound, right? And he could separate it into two different sounds. One like um very low kind of vibration sound,
Mm-hmm.
very low pitch, and another very high
Yeah, I
pitch,
think I
right?
know what he's talking about.
And
I
when
think.
he came out, he asked the engineer like what is this sound because it's supposed to be that silent, and the engineer tells him that sound is your body, right? That sound is your circulatory system and the blood in your veins and your heart and your nervous system. You if it's silent enough you can start hearing that
The functionality.
unconscious movement in your body,
Yeah.
you know, the functionality of your body, which is pretty interesting. And so what he thought is if I could establish the simplest structure for a piece of music where the only sound is this silence, and so the attention has to go into the sounds of the environment, into the sounds of the own body, into the sounds. Could this be considered a piece? Could this be considered a piece of music? And he would hold that it can be considered a piece of music, right? But now we're gonna talk about how subjective this is because it's difficult. I feel like there isn't one single like definition to what music is, right? And I think we will be debating right now about what we think that are the standards for a piece to be music. I believe
Okay.
433 is music. I believe it can be considered music.
Okay, here
What do you believe?
right away,
Yes or no?
yeah, wait. Right away, I can identify there's two kind of ways that this debate can go. Is it music or is it art? Or is it neither? Because for me, I would consider it a form of art, but I don't think I consider it a form of music.
Okay. And I mean, Rainbow Squirrel, what is your position like, like very basic position, so that we can.
Yeah, I would call it an artistic frame. Because
Okay.
if you're calling it music, that means okay, you designed the rhythm and the notes and the way the different instruments are interacting with each other. When there is 4 minutes and 33 seconds of silence in the audience, and the audience gets to perceive uh, their own breath and their own heartbeat, John Cage didn't write those parts. Those parts are almost improvised, but not
Yeah.
even. They're chaotic. They're just ambience sounds. So I think that's a key difference with music. Music has to be structured in an intentional way. And maybe there's a structure in the sounds that emerge in the absence of instruments playing,
Hmm.
but there's definitely not an intentionality on behalf of John Cage or the audience.
Okay,
I
here's an
I would
experiment. Here's a thought experiment. If you would put a xylophone under the rain and recorded that, would that be music?
That's a good question. I want to hear Anne's answer first.
I remember I once sent you this video of a guy who put these like bongo drums on the dripping from the roof of his house. And he put like a few where the drip was more intense. And it sounded very beautiful, right? And all these
But
bongos
is
had
that music?
is that music, right? I
I think
think.
it's musical, not necessarily
Uh-huh.
music, but musical.
Okay, I'm gonna jump back into the idea of the structure because I think I can disagree with that. And I'll tell you why. There is an intentional structure. I think that's why the piece is called 4 minutes 33, right? Because it is 4 minutes 33. If you were to put, for example, this is not what John Cage does because he goes to the limit that he can. But if you put one sound at the beginning of the piece, like just a drum, just hitting a drum once, and that's where the 4 minutes 33 starts. And then at the end of the 4 minutes 33, you hit the drum again to end the piece. If you think about it, you already have a rhythm, right? It is a very, I mean, you can technically call it a rhythm. I think we're pushing it a bit too far, but it is a rhythm. It is a structure. There is one rule, and music. Because if you go back a bit, I mean, we all know music notation, right? We all know like the how do you in English el pentagrama is it called?
Pentagram.
It's a pentagram
Yeah.
where you write the little dots on each dot depending on how positioned it is in
Yeah.
relation to the lines. It's telling you what note, and then you have like ways to measure a rhythm, and there is. I mean, this is like the main musical notation that we know because it's the most straightforward one and is the most detailed one, right? For musicians who have studied music in a conservatory, they're taught how to read this music and they learn how to read it just as well as they can read a book, right? Or like any text. But we have other musicians that start messing with the notation, and instead of drawing 5 lines, they draw maybe 2 lines, right? And so they say maybe these 2 lines don't really represent what note we're going to be playing. They represent, uh, I don't know, it can represent literally anything. Do you remember when
Elliot.
Elliot,
Mm-hmm.
our music teacher, shout out to him. He once
Elliot
put us
Simpson.
he once put us an exercise when he put us like a very strange notation where it was just dots. It was two parallel lines of dots, and there was a set of instructions, and there was like, I don't know, 3 dots, and then beneath you had like 4 dots, and then you have 2 dots, and then right, and so there is no way of really understanding what dot could be what sound or what timbre or what instrument or anything, right? The only instruction was there has to be 2 musicians,
Mm-hmm.
and each dot represents a sound, any sound, right? And so 2 musicians that have no accordance on what key they're going to be playing or what rhythm they're going to be playing, this kind of sounds like chaos to me, right? It sounds like individual drops of rain falling on a xylophone,
But it's planned.
but it's planned and it is structured to a certain degree, right?
It's like playing around.
And so, would you consider a piece like that, a piece written like that, music?
Yeah, what it sounds like, if you didn't catch it, it's like bing, 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 bong, 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 bing,
Yeah,
bing,
imagining
bing.
this is one musician and this is the other, and that's just
And they just read how
Let me
many
see if I got
sounds.
the scenario right. Like, two musicians have a notation that they don't understand, and they're trying to
basically.
interpret it and play at the same time.
Mm,
They understand what there is to understand, and what there is to understand is written in text before the notation, right? It is written. Two musicians have to play. And then the notes that are on top are one musician, the dots that are on the bottom are the other musician. And so if you have three notes on top and then you have four notes on the bottom, the first musician has to play three sounds, and then the second musician has to play four sounds.
this is an example. This is one musician, and this is the other. This one plays
Wait,
But how do
I
they
don't
know
think
which
that's
notes
right
to play?
because you have two notes that are
exactly.
saying
They play the same time.
no, because they cannot communicate anything else, right? I remember there was no like
Well,
notes at the same time. It was either one is playing or the other one.
but it could
I
it
mean, we got the point. We got the point. It's just a completely alternative way of notation that ignores.
so one
But
person does
do the
one.
musicians understand which notes they're supposed to play?
There is
There's no
nothing that tells you what notes or what sounds to play.
See, that's the thing. Again, you're leaving it up to improvisation. So it can be musical improvisation, but I don't know if I would call it a piece of music. A piece of music is more defined.
Hmm.
Like when you go to a concert, the maybe the screams and the cheers are part of the ambience, and that's cool. And sometimes get they become a part of the recording of a different song. Like this band is playing live, and you
Yeah.
can hear all of the cheers. But the piece itself does not account for those sounds. The piece itself is a defined thing. It says these sounds at these times.
So would you say, for example, jazz, like improvisational jazz? Because I mean, there are different levels of improvisation in
Mhm.
jazz, and there is some levels that do follow certain like rules regarding key and regarding rhythm, but there is one style of jazz that is just complete free playing,
Hmm.
where there is no rhythm and the musicians rely on each other to hear the changes that the other one is doing to try to adapt to that, right? And you hear these long improvisations that are completely ruleless, no rules whatsoever, but they are recorded and some of them become actually very famous and they are considered pieces of music.
Yeah, but
What
there
would be
is
the difference
still
there?
that intentionality. Like they still, okay, I want to play this note, and then I want to play this note, and then I want to play this note, and that
Hmm.
guy played this, so now I'm going to play this note. It's sort of an emergent composition. It's like you're seeing the piece being composed in real time. And then once it's recorded, then it's a defined piece.
Like,
Wouldn't
I think it would be the same thing with the exercise that we just mentioned. Like the musician, while hearing it's like a conversation, no? The notation. One would, I do think it's not just random noises. Like, yeah, it is random. You have to do it as random as you can, no, for this exercise. But you do think about the notes and what the next note can be
But then
that's
they
different.
don't they become not random, once you think about it. The
Random
randomness is a
intentionally random, you meant.
yeah.
Like, how
I
can I make the next note different from the one that I just played, no?
Yeah.
It
Like
has an
I think
intentionality.
what we're dealing with here are processes of composition.
Hmm.
Like here's the framework, and you can create a piece on top of that. And once it's created, it's a proper piece. And it was created with intention. With John Cage, you don't have that. You don't have instructions with the audience.
You
And I
do.
mean,
That's the thing. That's instruction. The title of the piece is instruction. There is
just
one
say
instruction, but
it's
it
not a
is an instruction.
sufficient instruction because you can apply that instruction to anything. It's just an instruction not to do. That's not enough for music.
Okay, but would you agree that it's an art piece? That's a
Yeah,
form of
no,
art.
we have agreed on that it
Yeah,
is
yeah, I think
Oh,
the
okay.
frame of art.
it's
Yeah.
an artistic frame for perhaps what we would call involuntary improvisation.
Hmm.
Okay.
But music,
What about
and not even
what
a
about
compositional progress process like the other examples.
I don't know.
I don't know how we can convince him, Jens.
I don't think we can. I don't think we can. But,
I prepped. I prepped.
no, but we can keep expanding. I think.
I mean, I
I
have a
don't know
question.
because what I think is what would happen if because for me I really see it no different. Another example I can throw in is what if I sampled for a 33, right? And I put it in my piece. I'm writing a piece,
I think it's in
and then
every
I
piece.
have 4 minutes 33 of pure silence after I start playing again. I have I can give names to the different parts of the piece, right? And I can say, for example, Pink Floyd. We have talked about Pink Floyd and something
Wait,
Pink Floyd
I
does.
think I have the perfect example for this. I think I have the perfect analogy. So, air is not a sandwich, right? But
Hair.
if you take two
Air.
pieces of
Ah,
bread and then you put
okay.
a bunch of ingredients in between, and between the ingredients, there's air, that's a sandwich.
Ah,
Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
yeah,
That
yeah,
makes
yeah.
sense. That makes sense.
So the
And I
example you
guess,
gave earlier, where you play a drum at the beginning of the piece and then you play a drum at the end of the piece, that's just two pieces of bread on
Okay.
top of each other.
yeah.
It's like, okay, I don't know if we can call that a sandwich, but it's closer to a sandwich than just air.
I like that. I like that.
Okay.
But also, where does the name
I
and the intentionality of framing, because it's a frame, no? The name of the piece and the duration is the frame of the song. Like that's all you have of it to describe it, no?
Yeah, it's like this is my sandwich. It's this section of air.
Okay.
It's
okay,
a
but then
bread-sized piece of air.
then if you added those two drums, like the
You would have like
beginning
two loaves of
and the
bread.
end, would you call that
It's more a
a piece of
sandwich.
music?
It would
It's
be
more
it would be two pieces of bread. It would be closer to the sandwich, closer to music,
It would be
but not
closer to music,
not quite. If you take
but
two
then
pieces of
what's
bread and just stack them and you eat that I don't know if you can call that a sandwich, but it's definitely closer than just air.
yeah, but I don't
but
know. I
also
don't know. Are we calling music the sandwich or are we calling music the food in general? The whole idea of food.
are you going to
That's
say
my
that
question.
air is food?
No, but I'm gonna say that air is everywhere, you know, and air is it's
Yeah,
in every
Okay.
piece of food, and no matter how much you take away from the two pieces of bread to just leave the air in between, it's still food, you know.
because it has bread. If it had no bread, if it the only people that call air food
But
are anorexics.
but the bread, again, the bread is that one rule, you know. You can take one piece of bread. It's not a sandwich anymore, right? It's a, how do you call it?
A monowitch.
It's a toast, you know, it's an air toast. but it's still food, right? And I
Well,
like to say that music is the food, right? Saying that I don't want to say music is a sandwich because there's so many other delicious ways of eating food apart from eating just sandwiches, you know.
this is true,
But
but there are also degrees of preparation. Like if you just take a piece of corn and start biting into it, like yeah, that's food. But you can also take the corn, make a tortilla out of it, put some meat
yeah, but
inside, put some lime.
yeah, sure, but that I mean that again that would make a quesadilla, but it doesn't take away the fact that corn by itself is still food,
Yeah, the
right?
thing is,
It's
the
And
thing
food.
is that here
I
the
think
that
argument
food is
is
sound. Cooking is music. Not all food is
okay.
but
gastronomy,
sound by itself, because food, I mean, food is just food if you eat it, right? Like a
right?
piece of corn by itself is just a piece of corn. Like it
But
wouldn't be
sound,
food if you don't go and you take it and you eat it.
Well, if you don't hear it, it's also not sound.
No, but we're like giving metaphors to the
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. So if you don't hear the music, if you don't eat the food,
But you are
but
hearing.
you can try to
That's the
eat a
whole point of
rock.
John Cage. He discovered that there is no such thing
no,
as
he's
pure
eating
silence.
air. He's basically eating air.
There's no
No,
void. It's air. You can touch it. You can feel it.
he is not only eating air, he is eating 4 minutes
You're
33 of air.
eating air.
I mean, air has to have like some nutritional value to it, I
Some
guess.
air is different than other air, you know? Some air is more rich in oxygen, some air has more carbon dioxide, some
And
air has
smell
more
very bad.
toxins.
Yeah, that's true. I don't
Like
know.
there's different kinds
I don't
of
know. I think
sounds in silence, but silence is I don't think it's music. You
I
have to
think
cook for it to be music. You have to take the
But
ingredients and mix them together.
then again, I mean, there's this like intentional silence.
it's intentional because it's 4 minutes 33, like
You can have an
established,
intentional
you know.
fast. You can just eat air for a week
Yeah.
and it's
The thing is,
intentional, but it's still
in
not
that
food.
case, no one is imposing it on you. Because I agree in the
No,
fact
no.
that for music there has to be a creator, well, not a creator, but an imposer, which is
Emitter.
the composer, and there has to
Emitter.
be a receiver,
Yeah.
right? And in 4 minutes 33, you can say, oh, like there is no composer because nobody is playing an instrument and nobody is making a sound. But there is one guy who decided that it has to be 4 minutes 33, and he is imposing this 4 minutes
Mm.
33 of no sound, right, onto someone else. And I think that for me is enough for it to be music. But that's the way
This could
But
define
you can
music.
also cook for
that's what we
someone
have
else
to.
and bring them air. Like you can still do that.
Yeah,
You can be
and
in
it
a
would be
restaurant
valid.
and they only sell air and you're like,
And
fuck
I
this
think
is
that's I really do think that that is valid. Like you can do that. And you can consider that a form of food.
If you think about,
you can do that, but
have you
it's not
ever
food.
heard the
It's
have
not
you
food.
ever heard the
If you don't want to eat
expression?
it, it's not on us.
Have you ever heard the
No?
expression that hunger is the best of all the sauces?
Yes.
I mean,
And
it's
I
kind of
tend
the same principle, you know.
no,
You
man.
can impose hunger on someone and give them the expectation of something delicious and present them with air, and that is already gonna give a culinary experience, right? It's gonna make the next
I think
meal.
that's just gonna pump the hunger high.
And
Exactly.
basically, yeah, for the next meal to be better, right? But these two meals
Exactly.
are
It's an
different meals.
experience.
It's
That we all agree that the 433 is an experience.
Yes,
344. We can
yes.
go with
An experience for sure.
344.
Artistic, probably. Music, no.
I also agree that it's not music because what is music? But it's not.
I'm gonna make my definition for
Okay,
music. I
there we
think
go.
music is any kind of expression that requires solely sound. right? Any kind of
Oh,
artistic
sense of
expression.
breath.
No, absence of sound is not really absence of sound. That's what John Cage holds. When there is
Wait,
an
but
absence of sound, there is space for the environment
So it's a
to impose its
communication.
own.
Restart it?
It's any kind of expression that mediates through sound.
wait, but
And
I
this,
have to. No, no, wait. I have to dispute this
why
definition
not?
because a speech is also purely sound,
That's true.
and you're expressing yourself purely through sound. Or if you listen to a podcast without watching it, you're you're also like encountering an intentional expression of sound.
That
I
is
think
true.
music has to be more defined. It's like there's even more rules to make something music and not music.
I don't know if you wanted to do a speech, for example, where there is no coherence in what you're saying, and you record it and you post it
Podcast.
not as a podcast or not as a but as something just to with the intention for people to just listen to
Let's
your
do that.
voice,
I want to do that. Let's do that.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're not, because a speech has its own like it I guess I don't know.
It's like it's
Because
like
a speech is a speech because of a reason, because of it needs.
it gives like como objective information, or it gives information in language, in a linguistic form, no? In
But so
solemnly
can a
linguistic.
song.
So can a song,
The
that's
thing
the
is,
thing. But the song,
that's why I
Like
said como
yeah, and that's where the rules
the
kind of start.
ABC song. That's how we teach kids the ABC. Like, A, B, C, D. It's giving you information, but it's a song. It's
true.
music, but it's not a speech. But there's also music without any words. Like it's confusing, but and I don't know if I can give a good enough, like precise enough definition of what makes music music. But I'm sure that we're starting to see that whatever coherent definition we can have of music, it's going to exclude 433.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm still holding my position because I could also like reformulate the expression through sound, like you can. But I don't know if in the theory of knowledge and you can exclude axioms from the definition of one thing to create a definition, right? Could I say it has to be, I mean, it is any expression that mediates through sound as long as the intention is that one, right? The
But
the
that would still cover
intention.
speech.
No, 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 but the intention, like it has to have a musical intentionality.
Does
Could I could
everything
I
that
say
have a
that? Could I
musical
say that? Could I
intentionality?
say music? Yeah. Um,
I just
I
pulled
don't
up
know.
the concise Oxford Dictionary defines music as the art of combining vocal or instrumental sounds or both to produce beauty of form, harmony, and expression of emotion.
but
And
that is
433 doesn't have that. It doesn't have vocals or instrumentals. Boom. Done.
but
Finished.
that but that 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 also contradicts Rainbow Squirrel's point, for example, in the jazz improvisation, right? Because this completely fits a jazz improvisation into it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And you could like not make a piece out of a jazz improvisation, but it would still be this, right? You could not record it. You could make it like just once, and for you it would sound musical. But if it happens just once and then you forget about it, and it's not recorded, it is not created into a piece. I still believe it's music. I think Oxford Dictionary still
Yep.
believes it's music, but the Rainbow Scroll does not believe it's music.
Shame
What?
on
That's
you.
And
so
so,
that's actually a good trade-off. I'm actually completely willing to buy this definition. The Oxford one is better than whatever I had, and it does fit with jazz improvisation, which is great. It's good that we can classify that strongly as music, but it does exclude John Cage.
It does.
it does
Not as a
exclude
It
John
whole. I
Cage,
does.
mean,
yeah.
433, of course.
Now,
I'm
I
willing to
find
buy that. I'll take
who
that.
wrote this definition in the Oxford Dictionary? It definitely wasn't John Cage. And
many people thought about
it
this a
probably
lot.
wasn't someone who spent literally their whole life thinking and trying to ponder about what is
I do
the
think
limit
that it has been
of music.
thought of a lot
But
for
not
this
as much as
definition.
John Cage thought about this thing, you know? And you're literally saying that John Cage is
What is
completely,
John Cage's definition of music? Maybe it's better than the Oxford one.
yeah,
I
look for
How
it.
is it called,
highly
John?
doubt it.
AOHN Cage like, yeah, I don't know.
And then we have to look up Aristotle's definition of music,
Oh,
just for the funs
is
of
it?
it.
Wait,
Yeah, go to the overview. As a
go.
succession of sounds where the composer acts as the organizer of sounds, ejecting traditional silence and
Reject.
rejecting traditional silence and emphasizing sound's potential to convey meaning.
Still excludes 430 because it says the
Does it though?
composer is the intentional organizer. You can't organize people's heartbeats intentionally.
That
No,
is
but if
true.
you think about it, every single piece of music has an unorganizable sense to it, right? Because every piece of music has silence in it, and every piece of music has a gap of silence between the drums and whatever else is happening. Every piece of music that has that uncontrollable factor to it. And so, if you
Mhm.
exclude everything else and just organize the piece of music to just be that space.
But
It's
this is
like
what I was saying
asking.
before. A sandwich does have air between the ingredients, sure,
Mhm.
but it's still a sandwich. If you have just
It's like
air, it's
asking
not.
if nothing is infinity, right? If emptiness is infinity. No, between one and zero, there's nothing, but there's also infinity. No?
Well, there's
Is that
0.5. I don't know if that's nothing.
no, exactly. It's infinite because between those two numbers, you have like every single like you have
Yeah.
infinite.
I think the real
Off above
question, and we
infinite.
should ask this to our mathematician friend, is does 0 plus 1 over infinity have any distance from 0 minus 1 over infinity?
Hmm.
That's a crazy one. That one, that's a good brain
That's a good
teaser.
question, and I think it has to be like an unsolvable question, right? Because it's again like you can also put the dilemma of the hotel, the infinite hotel. I don't know if you
Yeah.
remember that, like
Yeah,
the infinite
paradox.
hotel that is it's full, but there is
Mhm.
one way to make a room for one more person, and it's making everyone move one room to the right. And so you have, but is the hotel ever full? Is it constantly full, or is there always like
Is there always infinite
a
space
space for
for
yeah.
more? It depends on sizes of infinity. But that's no, no, this is too complicated.
That's not what we're yeah, no, we're drifting away a little bit.
I think
Hmm.
Okay,
I do
my
want to check out
stance is that,
Aristotle's definition while you give your
Oh
stance.
yeah, yeah, we forgot about that.
well, I still stand that it might not be music, but it is art. It definitely is art. It's a type of expression.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Aristotle's definition of music. imitation, so already, that mirrors human emotions, character, and actions through rhythm, melody, and harmony.
Rhythm, melody, and harmony. Okay.
Mm.
But was Aristotle a musician?
Oh my fucking God.
That's the thing, no? Why would someone who's not a musician define what's music?
Yeah,
Because that's what philosophers like to do. We like to touch every field uh, without getting into
just
them.
like to fucking poke your noses through everything. Yeah, no. I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
But I'm sure there's
It's
at least one
completely
musician that thinks that 433 is not music. There has to be at least one.
oh, there has to be. Yeah, no. There is many who think reggaeton is not music, and there's many who think rap is not music. There is,
And
I
I'm
think
more
it's a
lenient than that.
very,
I think those are music because they do fit the Aristotle's and Oxford
yeah.
definition for their third
No,
edition.
I do believe they're music. I mean, if I believe 433 is music, then basically anything.
You kind of have
No,
to
not
accept
anything can be.
everything.
Not anything can be like just sitting in a field and listening to silence. That I do not believe that is music. It has to be an organized setting
intention.
where there is the intention, where there is this one rule. It doesn't even have to be 4 minutes 33 exactly, but
Mm.
you have to say at the beginning how long the silence has to be, right? And for me, that is enough for it to be music. Because if not, it is just, yeah, an artistic expression. But every single art is it it it, it is there are like very few categories where you fit art, right? I mean, and
Yeah.
Here's
it's
another analogy. Is a blank canvas a painting just because it has defined proportions?
If the artist published it that way, yes.
but painting
It's an
it
art
fits into the
form.
visual arts,
It's
right?
an
Music
okay.
does not fit into the visual arts. 433 does
Okay, here's the
fit
thing.
into,
This is the same thing. It's not a painting because there's no paint on it,
yeah.
but it is a form of art.
But
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
the same as saying that
yes.
433 is a piece of rap, because it's not a piece of rap, but it is a piece of music, right?
It's neither.
No,
It is the same. It's
So
literally
like,
the same.
now I'm about to
no.
rap. You're about to hear the craziest bars of your whole life. You ready?
No, no, no. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You cannot say that 433 is rap. You cannot say that. You cannot say that,
You cannot
obviously.
say it's
Right?
music
The
either
same
because
way
it
you
has
cannot
no
say a
instruments.
white piece of canvas
Yeah.
is a painting, right? But it still fits into the visual arts the same way a painting does, and the same way and I think the arts of the sound, right, are music. Then you have the literary arts, and that's where speech would come in. Music is not a literary art. It is.
Oh, it
I
is.
think the white
It can be.
canvas, I don't
It
think
can be, but it is not defined as a like you can the same way you can add music into literature, you can add literature into music, but they're
Yeah.
two different things. The same way you can add music into a visual exposition, and but there is you can separate that, right? And
yeah, but I
I have
think
a
what you
question
said that yeah,
specifically for Andy.
no, no.
If I create 60 blank frames, is that an animation? Just blank frames. Just but there are 60
that's
of
not
them. It's
an
defined.
attention.
No.
But
I rest my
let's
case.
go. Let's go to the
Wait,
meaning.
I was about to say something. I was about to say something.
Yes.
So, what you said, it's not rap, but it's music. I think you have to go a step behind. Like, it's not music, but it's an art form. You know, the same as the blank canvases is not a form of visual art. It's a form of abstract art. Like it's not the same saying that this is an artwork, a painting, right? It's not a painting. It's a form of an expression, but it's not a yeah, it's not a painting. So the silence, I wouldn't say it's not rap, therefore music, but it's rather not music, therefore art. So it's like even like broader.
But then what you're doing is literally grabbing everything that does not fit into one art category and giving it its own category.
No,
And
Yes.
it's
and
more
then
like
it,
a
it kind of
broader category.
you're
It's an
creating
expression
one whole category for every piece of art that does
of
not fit into any other.
what I see is the rap is like one. Then the bigger picture is music, and the bigger picture is art form because every music is a form of art. And so it might not be in that umbrella, but it might be like the bigger picture of expression. It's expressing something, not something specific like music, but it is an expression
And what
Yep.
makes 433 go outside of that frame of
of
music
music because
for
of the
you?
definitions that we said.
Definitions.
Yeah, I would say that.
I
Again, it's a
completely
very
agree. This is how
subjective.
categorization is done. I agree.
I don't know. I don't know. I think the arts. I do like the idea of categorizing the arts by the senses, right? And you have visual
Okay.
arts, and you have auditory arts, and you
Mhm.
have intellectual arts, which is literature, and I mean,
And I would say that this song, 433, is a auditory art form.
but for me, every auditory art form is music.
Well, that's where I disagree.
Okay. Okay.
Here's a question though for that classification. Is literature an auditory art form or a visual art form?
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
And then
I
how do
think,
you separate like writing poems from calligraphy? Both are visual,
Well, they have different intentions.
I think it's the fact that
and
they
means, different
solely
means.
use a look for a coherence between words to communicate something,
Yes.
right? That is literature. And again, you can make a piece where you just speak complete gibberish and there is no coherence between the words that you're saying, and your intention is for the listener to just listen to the sound of your voice, not focus on what you're saying. And that makes it not literature anymore, but music.
Mhm.
Music, if it's at least
Yeah,
melodic,
that's it. If yeah,
melodic
music
and
if.
Honestly,
and
I'm
has a
trying to
rhythm.
think of I'm trying to think of an audio like an
Yeah, auditory.
auditory art form that is not music. What could that be?
Yeah, 433.
Except for that,
Yeah,
like what is like except for that, what else? Like what can we compare it to?
I
ASMR,
think I think
ASMR,
What?
ASMR.
ASMR. ASMR is an interesting one. I do think
That's
ASMR.
true. That is, but is it art?
But
Of
ASMR
course.
is
As much of an
For
art as
me,
433,
well,
that's
yeah,
for sure.
yeah, true. It's trying to convey a feeling, yeah.
I don't know. I would fit ASMR as a genre of music, honestly.
See,
Just
this is the problem.
Okay.
If we expand music so much, like it encompasses everything.
no, but we're not expanding it. I'm giving it the limit. I'm giving it the limit. I'm
It has
giving
to
it
be
that limit.
intentional.
Yeah. It
I
has
don't
to
know if
be.
433 is intentional enough.
It is. It is. It's
It is
intentional.
intentional enough. It is, and the fact that it is intentional makes it intentional enough to me.
And
Okay.
then there's the back to the question of speeches. Those are definitely intentional enough. but they're
But
can
they
you
have,
classify them
but
as
it is
music?
not, it
It's
is
another
not, again,
focus.
it is a different intention. It
Yeah,
is
exactly.
not the intention to listen to the sound of the voice, but the intention to try to make something out of the words, try to use your literary abilities and your language
Yeah,
abilities to create the meaning, right? But
I agree
that
with
is
that.
different to what I think music is,
I
right? And
agree.
again, you can make a speech form song, right? Then you can even make a speech and with the intention of it not, it could mean something, it could be coherent. But
Mm.
if the artist is making the speech for it to go on Spotify and to an album and to not even like for people to just listen to the voice, I think that already makes it music.
Okay.
I don't know.
I
Like,
like
I
that.
think of speakers that are super emotional with their voice and that they can really become really expressive with their words, like
Yeah, I don't know,
Jordan
slam
Peterson
poetry is, yeah.
or slam poetry. I was thinking of Jordan Peterson. It's interesting that those two fit into the same category. Uh, uh, I don't know if I would classify that as music because it doesn't have that defined rhythm and melody, and maybe even the definition has to be even stricter than that. Like I think there is a meaningful distinction
But then
between
again, the
a
intention,
speech and ASMR and the jazz performance. Like the jazz performance is music. We have to consider that music. Speeches and ASMR, not so much.
I think maybe there's like this whole concept built um, around that we all understand when someone is performing a speech that it's not supposed to be music because we're supposed to understand, right? So the entire focus of the receiver also goes into like the information, the words, right? But in the jazz, it's not like you're trying to get a coherency. It's still perceived as music because of the intentionality of these sounds, right? So there's like a connection between the emitter and the receiver that que se ponen de acuerdo. So they kind of they
yeah,
se ponen de acuerdo.
agree.
They agree on where the focus is, where the form of art lies, no? I think that's what we're missing.
I think this brings up really something super interesting. If you're alone on a desert island, can you still make music? Because there's no receiver there. You are the creator and the receiver at the
Yeah.
same time.
Yeah, which is
So
still
if you just say,
communication.
I'm just gonna sit in silence for 433 minutes, are you listening to John Cage?
Yeah,
I don't think
I
so.
think so. If it's
I
for
think so.
33 minutes, I think you're listening to John
If you
Cage,
know
honestly.
about
Yeah.
Like
John
he owns
And
Cage,
you
that
can
man.
measure the 4 minutes 33 exactly.
that
I think that's John Cage. Yeah.
yeah, that does have
He
Now if you
invented
did
the
4 minutes
concept of
32, then that wouldn't be John Cage anymore,
or
right?
if you don't even think about John Cage while having 4 minutes 33, that's still not music. But the intentionality is what makes it so. Because John Cage is the emitter, even though he's not present, you have it in your head, you know it. And then the receiver also knows about this, and so there's this communication that is met.
so what if the receiver decides this is not music? Does it stop being music?
Yes.
It
Because you
probably
Okay.
does.
rompes
No,
con
I mean,
no rompes you break the communication. You don't let it communicate. It's like tapando los oídos when well something is happening, it's
Now
not happening.
we've just created an ontological apocalypse here because we can just say, "Oh, Taylor Swift, not music anymore," and it just stops being music, and all of her songs
Yeah,
get taken down from
that's the
Spotify.
power you have as a
I
human
mean, yeah, I think we all
in
have
music.
this thing that we choose the music that we listen to, right? And we the
Yes,
listen that we don't listen to, we don't even know about. It just doesn't really exist, you know. And that we
Exactly.
can decide to just forget about the music that we don't like, and I mean, it exists in some other universe, right? It exists, but it's
but this is where I don't think it's a subjective issue. I don't think we can decide what is music and what isn't. I think it already either is music and or isn't. And it's our job to recognize appropriately what is music and what is not. And that's why we try to come up with these definitions that are strict and clear.
Hmm.
I think if we do find a coherent definition that, well, then it will exclude speeches and ASMR from the category of music. It will include uh, reggaeton and rap, and it
Yeah.
will exclude 433. That's what I'm saying. I don't know what that definition is,
Hmm.
but
Work on it, work on it. If you present that definition to me, I think I might submit, but I don't know. I don't
but
know.
I
Listen, I'm not gonna look for it. I'm not you know that for sure.
I just get an intuition that when we find that definition, it's gonna clarify everything in a way that deals with these edge cases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting, interesting. I think that
Very
this
great
this
debate.
this leaves me with a lot of thoughts, with a lot of open thoughts and stuff. But yeah.
Great debate.
No, is it coming through? Is it coming through though? Yeah, no, I don't think the Zoom audio is really capturing that ASMR word.
Whatever you're doing, Zoom doesn't like
Ah,
it.
fuck. Well, like and subscribe
But we
anyway.
can imagine it.
Fuck.
We can imagine it. We can imagine it. And that's good enough.
Like and subscribe, guys. The more
It's
you
the
know.
433 version of ASMR.